Hi, and welcome to Female Entrepreneurs Magazine, your go to platform for ambitious women who are ready to take the business world by storm. I'm your host, Angel France, and each week we'll dive into the latest strategies, stories, and success secrets from the most inspiring female entrepreneurs around the world. Whether you're just starting out or scaling up, this is your space to connect, learn, and grow alongside a community of trailblazing women who, just like you, they are making their mark in the world of business. From personal branding to powerhouse marketing, from leadership to lifestyle tips, we've got you covered. So get ready to ignite your passion, fuel your purpose, and unlock your potential with Female Entrepreneurs Magazine. Let's make this journey together and turn your entrepreneurial dreams into reality. Hey guys, welcome to Female Entrepreneurs Magazine, where we feature amazing women making waves and designing their dream lives. Today, we've got an executive transformation coach with a knack for helping visionary women smash their limits and create world-changing impact without, you got it, burnout. With her Transforming Millions method, Spencer turns self-doubt into seven-figure success stories. And while keeping things fun and fulfilling, when she's not empowering women, you know what? Spencer hosts retreats at her beautiful, dreaming oceanfront home in Maine. I have to come visit. It just looks too gorgeous.
You do.
And you know what? When she's not hosting retreats and working with women all the time, she's soaking up every minute she can with her family. Get ready for some serious inspiration and signature sparkle from Spencer Snakard. Did I do that right? Did I say your name?
You did. You nailed it.
That is so awesome. So, you know what, Spencer, I am so excited to have you on today. You do such amazing things. You know what brought you into this industry? Something had to happen.
Yeah. Well, so entrepreneurship, it was actually something I think I always was kind of made for. I mean, I remember even as a kid, like knocking on neighbors' doors, asking if I could wash their car for $3 or something. So, so I think I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit in me. But you know, the line of work that I do now, the coaching and the executive coaching and transformational work I do, really came out of, I got a degree in psychology, but I knew at the time, it was before positive psychology really became a thing. And I knew at the time, I was like, I don't really want to just work with people on their problems. I want to help people live like a full, rich, abundant, miraculous, amazing life. And I was really fortunate. Just a year or so after I graduated with my degree in psychology, I discovered the world of coaching and ontology and transformational training. It was kind of on the back end of the human, what did they call it? The human potential movement out of the 1960s. It was, you know, there were a number of companies that had been around for 20 plus years at that point, but before really the birth of the coaching industry. And it was just a great time to get in with everything. And I knew from day one, like I kind of happened into, and I believe there aren't really any coincidences, but happened into a 3-day training seminar that I'd heard about from a friend. And literally day one, I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is what I was put on this earth to do.
That is amazing. So how did the retreat come up?
Well, I love beautiful places. I love the idea of getting away from the busyness and the chaos and the go and the do that we all get tangled up in. And you know, I think there's a lot of benefit to the coaching school that I went to talks about that. There was a phrase they used that said the environment always wins, which was actually a quote by Thomas Leonard, who was the founder of the coaching, basically the coaching certification body. I'm totally blanking on the name right now. The ICF, the International Coaching Federation. Whew, shame on me. So anyway, he had a phrase, the environment always wins, meaning that We as animals adapt to our environments. And so if we're staying in the same environment we've always been in, around the same people, the same ways of thinking, the same cultures, the same, in some cases, the same negativities, the same demands, all of those things, then we really kind of keep being at the mercy of that. Whereas if you can alter the environment, intentionally design environments to support you in expanding and growing and moving into your next level, or just getting into something different. I mean, for some people, even if it's not necessarily next level they want to get to, they're just like, I'm miserable, I'm burned out, I'm exhausted, I need to breathe, I need to reconnect with my passion and my vision, and what am I even doing this for anyway? Sometimes we got to get away to do that, and get away to beautiful, inspiring spaces and connect with other people in the same places. And of course, with a fabulous coach who can help guide you through all of those things, like what is it that you really want, and what's standing in the way of that, and what do you need to do to move those things out of the way so that you can really design the life, really just create a life of your design, not be at the mercy of what's happening to you.
So I love that, and I love the fact that you're showing us what what the area of the retreat looks like, right? And
yes, well, we just built a home in Maine, and this isn't like a commercial retreat center. This is our private home for our family and friends. And I'm hosting some private client, like one-on-one client retreats here. Come escape for a couple days of a completely custom designed, all about you experience to not only be diving into, of course, your business and entrepreneurship and what it is you really want and the life you want to be living. I always say you really have to, I'm a big proponent of, you've got to design the life you want first and then figure out what about the business is going to support that, not just be looking at what's the business you want and then figure out how am I going to squeeze my life into or around that. So, being able to have those deep, juicy kinds of conversations while maybe hiking Cadillac Mountain, or if you're not into hiking, we can just drive up and soak in the vistas. Or, walking along the rocky coast with big waves crashing against the rocks, and or just sitting in my living room. This literally is my backyard. This view is about 100 feet off my living room, and off my back deck, whether we're just kind of sitting there sipping your favorite coffee or tea and talking about what's next. And I do hope to I will have some small group ones here as well, some very intimate, like 4 people, 4 other women. And then I do host in other places as well. Like I'm looking at one for the Caribbean for next November, just about a year from now. And I'll be hosting one actually in Charleston, South Carolina in February of 2025 as well.
Oh, well,
and there's spaces open at the time of this recording. There are still spaces open. So come join us.
You're going to give us the link?
Yes, I will definitely give you the link. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, because we're excited about that. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
So let's go back. I love what you said about realizing basically your life first,
yes,
and then fitting the work after that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't, it's funny. I think some people might hear that like, well, that's going to put limits on what I can do in my business. And maybe, I mean, so if you see it that way, then it'll be that way. But part of why I started to chuckle a little is my husband years ago, when we first met, he wasn't as into this as he is now. I coached him into his business, and there were a number of things that he's like, wow, this stuff, like, I don't know that I would have really bought into this, before you, but like this stuff really works. And so he often will joke. There was one time when I said something to him about, do you want this or that? Or are we going to do this or that? And he's like, babe, what's this or business? This is an and society. And so we always kind of play about like, this is an and society. And I feel like, back to your question of designing the life you want and then looking at the business that's going to support that, that really like I'm all about really helping people have it all. And I know a lot of people cringe at that and think that's a load of garbage. And, that's just some BS we've been sold to make us feel like we're not enough as we are. And I think, again, it's all really in how you approach it. And there are things, and I don't just mean that as like think happy thoughts and visualize and just hope for the best. My zone of genius really is helping people get to the root cause of what's standing between you and what you want. Because it really, I believe, boils down to a very, you got to get to the root cause of what's driving us in our humanity. And ultimately, it's the same thing for all of us, but we all have our own flavor or version of it. And so one of my superpowers is really helping people see, like I see that big picture and I can quickly say, huh, so wait, is this playing in, or does this ring true for you, or whatever it may be? And a lot of times very early on, people go, oh my God, yeah, that's totally it. And then we work on, okay, now what? Now what do you do with this new information? How do you implement it? How do you bring it to life in your life so that you're not being stopped by things like fear of, I've spoken to so many women. This came up again recently, is why it's on my mind. So many women I speak to who are afraid that their marriage will end if they get too successful. And consciously, they don't necessarily think it, but we'll identify there's a subconscious, like, maybe he'll feel like he's in my shadow. Or I had one woman literally say to me one time, this was years ago, she said, honestly, I'm afraid if I make enough money that I don't need him anymore, I'm going to kick him to the curb. I was like, wow, well, that was a very honest insight. So, but when we have those underlying fears and things that most of the time we don't see for ourselves, that's part of our self-protection, self-preservation, is that we don't see those things. It's kind of like on The Wizard of Oz with pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. It's like, pay no attention to what's going on back there. No, you don't need to see that. But if you can't see it, you're powerless to how it's controlling you. And a lot of times like I said, we don't even know how we're being controlled by our own thoughts and feelings and perspectives. But when we can shine a light on those and then go, oh, well, I don't know that I even really believe that, or I don't know that that really makes sense, or, well, okay, maybe that made sense then, but it certainly isn't serving me anymore now. So now what can I do to change it?
So do you think that question and what you just talked about would help somebody if they're struggling in their business, or is there another question they should ask?
Absolutely, it helps. Yeah, just to give you one example, there was a woman who came to me about 8 years into business and had been a very slow go. She'd previously had a very successful business with a boyfriend, got up to $7-figure $1 million a year restaurant business. And she realized that really wasn't the life she wanted to be living. And also, the more successful the business got, the worse their relationship got. And so she started her own business. It was kind of slow to grow. And she got to where she was like, I'm finally getting to where I'm comfortable, but I do want to make more. She's like, but I'm not one of those people that wants to make $1 million. And and I said, well, that's very interesting. I said, look, I'm not saying you should want to make $1 million, but I'm super curious why you specifically don't. Can we talk about that? And from that, we were able to reveal pretty quickly that she had this belief of either I can be successful and make a lot of money and have freedom and travel and do the things I want to do, or I can have a great relationship, but her phrase was stuck at home as a housewife. And not to say that being a housewife is a bad thing. And she didn't even think, for people who want that it's a bad thing. It just wasn't what she wanted. She wanted to have the freedom to travel the world and pick up on a dime and go somewhere for a month if she wants and do what she wants to do. So with that insight, we were able to start looking at, okay, well, what's really true here about this? And where does that fear keep coming up? Where does it keep kind of sneaking back in there in ways that you may not recognize? And really, I think anytime we expand beyond where we already are, our level of comfort. Those old things, those old patterns that many of us form from a really young age, they'll just keep coming up. And so, you need a guy. I feel like we all need, I've had a coach myself for 4 straight years now, who's spectacular, and I adore her, and we have a great working relationship. And even though I do this work and I coach other people through it, again, I don't see things for myself sometimes. And so, she's there often to say, well, that's kind of interesting. Did you realize you just said this? And I'm like, dang it. So we all need someone to help us see what we can't see for ourselves, and to continue to have the courage to take the aligned action to move forward toward what we really want.
Very good. So we're talking about people who have been in business. What about if somebody's brand new, just getting ready to start or thinking about starting? What should be some of the questions they should ask themselves, or what advice do you have for them?
I think, well, first off, I would say invest early in having a coach to help you with things like your perspectives and your beliefs. Certainly, of course, things like business strategy and business planning and things like that are important. But here's the thing. I've also had people come to me who are working with a business coach on the strategy and the planning, but they're working on a plan that they don't even want. And when they don't even want it, they think they want it. But if they don't really want it, if again, there's subconscious things that are afraid, like this is going to interfere with my ability to spend time with my family, or this is such a burden. I'm just going to be working all the time. And I don't want that. I want freedom, things like that. If you're working on a plan that subconsciously you really don't want, you will sabotage it. And so working with a coach like me can help you see, like, well, what is it that you really do want? And what are some ways, what are various ways, many roads to Rome, so to speak. What are the various ways that that intention can come to life? Because it's not like there's only one way to do things. You got to be able to look and see, for this intended end result, what are the various pathways I can take, and what are the ones that feel inspiring to me and feel maybe like a little bit of a stretch, but also doable, not something that has me think, ugh, this is never going to happen. Something that's going to give you that fire inside to keep that inspired action going.
I love that. I love that. So I know you're married, you have a family. How do
Yep.
you balance it all? Especially, I mean, you have a great mindset. I love it. Let's put the work around what we really want. And I know your family is very important to you. So can you tell us how you balance it all?
Yeah, I think it's, it can be a challenge for all of us at various times. It's not like, my life is always butterflies and rainbows. There's certainly days when, things get stressful, or I'm like, ugh, I got to do this, or, I'll be wanting to do something on work and something personal comes up that I need to redirect my attention to, or vice versa. But, a big part of it for me and the work I do with coaching others, that I also take the coaching for myself when I'm conscious to it, is to say, what really matters here, what really matters. And that's one of the big things I'm continuously talking with my clients about, is what is that vision that's in alignment with who you really are, what you're here for, like your passion or your purpose, and what matters most to you, and really bringing all three of those together. And so there's times when I have had to sort of put things on hold, or I've had to hand things over that I maybe didn't really want to hand over, but I thought, okay, if I want this to keep moving forward, I need to trust someone else to be doing some running with it.
I have
But
some
even just recently,
delegation trouble too. I have some delegation challenges.
I think a lot of us do. Well, a lot of us that go into entrepreneurship are super achievers to begin with. And of course, we do everything the best. And we have our vision for how it should be done. And we tend to think, well, crud, it's going to take me more time to explain to someone else and have to manage them and fix what they did differently than if I just do it myself, which isn't necessarily true.
You're reading my mind.
In your mind. So, but even like a few years ago, there were a number of personal crises that hit like boom, boom, boom right after another. Our home was threatened by the potential of 110-foot tall steel transmission lines, power lines running through this is our new home in Maine, but in Virginia, we have another home that's on a beautiful 10 wooded acres with a stream through it, surrounded by horse farms. And we were going to have this gargantuan path of transmission lines within like 200 feet of our house. So I ended up heading up a grassroots organization to fight that. About 2 weeks after that, my then 18-year-old daughter got diagnosed with a cancerous brain tumor. And 2 days after she got diagnosed with her brain tumor, my dad died of a heart attack. And it was literally like just one thing after another. But part of balance is being able to have the freedom to prioritize the way you want to prioritize. Balance doesn't have to always mean you're giving everything 100%. Balance can mean you recognize, okay, I've got some stuff going on right now that I need to tend to, and I need to be kind enough to myself to give myself the opportunity to address this. And it's okay if I step away from, sure, I had the goal for whatever in the business, but I'm not less of a person or less valuable if I set that aside or put that on hold for now to shift over to this other thing that really needs my attention and is a bigger priority at the moment. And being okay with that.
Yeah. And that's the key, is being okay.
Yeah.
So knowing what all you've learned and what you've learned from other people, coaching them, what would you go back and tell your 18-year-old self?
It's funny. The first thing that comes to mind is invest in Netflix. That would make so much easier, if you got in early. I'm never one of those early adapters. I take forever. Like when when Simon Sinek talks about, he does his talk on Start With Why, and he talks about the bell curve of the early adapters. And he said at the time, I mean, this was at least probably 10 or 20 years ago, but still, he gave the analogy at the time, the people at the end, the latent, whatever they are, those are the ones that only have a smartphone because flip phones didn't exist anymore. I'm like, oh my God, that was me.
How long did it take you to get a smartphone?
Oh, forever, forever. I think it was like 2010 that I finally had my first like Palm Pilot or something. And I didn't even do anything. Like I didn't even use any of the features. I literally just used it to call people. And my daughter, who was maybe 5 at the time, was pushing buttons one day and ended up saving my husband's phone number. And I was like, oh my God, show mommy how you did that. So anyway, I don't think that was really the essence of your question, though. So back to what would I tell my 18-year-old self? I think, the biggest thing I would say is, girl, you're freaking amazing. And like you have the power to like take on the world and just don't let anything talk you down from it. I think, I was so full of life then. And there were things that I think many of us through our late teens and early 20s, we get messages from the outside world that we interpret as we're not good enough, or we're not ready for something yet, or we're not old enough or experienced enough or whatever. And I love now when I see like early 20 somethings that are like, oh yeah, I got you. Like I can, I mean, you take it with a little bit of a grain of salt to recognize, okay, they don't maybe have the same level of life experience some other people do, but that doesn't make them necessarily less competent or less qualified. And I'm like, hell yeah, girl, you go. Like you go take the world on, you do it. And don't let anything stop you.
Yeah, I really love having young people in the magazine. We had a 21-year-old last time, and I really like having people actually even in their 80s. It's
Yes.
I mean, and they start late. I love
Yes.
it. I love
Yes. I
things.
love that you're covering the whole spectrum and the age spectrum anyway. I think that's fantastic.
I love it. All right. What's one fact about yourself that nobody knows about?
Oh, Lord. Well, if nobody knows, it's probably because I don't want them to know. um, hmm. I, okay, this what just popped into my head. I've always had a secret dream of being a Latin ballroom dancer.
That would be so cool.
I know.
I want to do swing.
Swing is fun too. Swing is absolutely fun too. I was a dancer years ago, like growing up into my 20s. And I had some pretty intense eating disorders from age 10 into my early 20s. And that was partly why I dropped dance. Again, the environment always wins. And I recognize this environment is not supporting me in getting my head straight about my body image and things like that.
And that
So,
happens in dance. I owned a dance in school, so I totally get it.
yep,
Understand.
yep. So yeah. So anyway, I reluctantly quit dance at the time, but since then now I've got knee issues and foot issues and hip issues and things. And I'm like, I feel like maybe there's something mental going on with me with that. I'm like, I gotta get these things handled because I do kind of think I'm like, maybe it'll be something I'll just take on like in retirement. I'll just become one of those like, like you talk about 80-year-old entrepreneurs, I'll be like the 80-year-old Latin dancer.
I actually like watching the YouTube Latin dance competitions. Have you
Yes.
sat there and watched some of them?
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
If you had superpower for one day, one superpower, what would it be?
Are we talking like typical superpowers like you see in Marvel movies or any superpower?
Any superpower you would like.
All right, I'm going to go Miss Congeniality and say create world peace. But what I mean by that, okay, I loved that movie. I love how she made fun all the time of all the pageant ladies that were like, I want world peace. And at the end, she's crying. She's like, I really do want world peace. But here's the thing, the work I do, I really feel like I feel like part of my, how do I want to say this? My mission, my vision is to shift the consciousness of humanity, to like advance the evolution of humanity and our consciousness on this planet. And I think a lot of it, if we can all just recognize, like, if we can all just see when it's like fear kicking in, not who we really are on a spiritual level, and can recognize within ourselves and within others. You know, sometimes when you're in conflict with someone else, it's easy to think they're a jerk or, you know, they're the problem or whatever. But to be able to really see like the divine magnificence in all of us, including in ourselves, and to be able to live life that way, like it would be a completely different planet.
That would be amazing. I understand where you're coming now from world peace. I love it. I love that. All right. Do you have a favorite book that you like?
I'm not a huge reader anymore, but you know, one of my favorite ones that it sort of relates to transformation and entrepreneurship. It's a really small one that's fabulous by Deepak Chopra. That's called, what is it? It's like the Art of Abundance or the Law of Abundance or something like that. I'll follow up for it to be included in the link because I know you sometimes include that in
I'll include it. You don't have to
the
tell me.
article. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just called Abundance. I can't remember. It's something about abundance, but it's a very, very small book that you can read in like less than an hour. And it has things that will just like really have you look at things differently. Like there was something he was talking about with there was a situation, there was some like global project going on, and there was a meeting of a bunch of people, and someone said something about, well, where's the money going to come from for this? And the kind of the guru of the group said, from wherever it is right now. And I was like, wow.
It's coming.
Yes, it is going to come from wherever it is right now. But there's things in there with perspective where he talks about in abundance, thinking of like all the grains of sand on the planet or all the drops of water in the ocean. Like there is as an abundance in creation. And when we start to tap into that and look at things that way, it completely shifts what's possible for us.
I love that. All right. Favorite song that gets you moving?
Oh, you know, one of my favorites in recent years is the one from I always call it the Barnum movie. Oh my gosh. This is me. This is me is the name of the song from the one with Hugh Jackman that was based on Ringling Barnum Brothers. Yeah. I always forget the name. I don't know why. It's one of my favorite movies. But anyway, this is
Dancers
me. I
don't
absolutely
know.
love.
Dancers do not know names of songs. I don't know names of songs. I just know the beat.
I can sing it and I can move to it.
That's how I feel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like that really is one that like embodies what I'm all about as well. Like I feel like this whole like own your awesomeness for all of who you are, like exactly who you are as you are for all of who you are and for all of who you're not. And when we really can embody that, it's a whole new world.
I love that. All right. Your favorite quote.
I feel like I should have something more zen, but the one that always comes to mind that I love the most is from Ferris Bueller when he says, life is pretty short. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you might miss it. So I think that really speaks to being present in the moment, and life really does move fast. And it's, you know, part of why I went into entrepreneurship was because my kids were young and I had this vision. My first business was running a yoga studio. And my vision was, I'm going to be my own boss and I'm going to have all this time and freedom to spend with my kids. And one day I started it when I was pregnant with my first daughter. And I realized when she was about to go into middle school that I was like, the vision has not come to life yet. This kind of business, maybe not the kind of business that creates the freedom. When you got to be there teaching the classes and going to all the marketing events and doing all the things that, you know, I realized like their whole youth, there was a lot of time spent with babysitters while I was working, or me telling, you know, them saying, Mommy, I'm hungry. And me saying, have a bowl of cereal or fix yourself a hot dog. I'm in the middle of something. And I was like, something is not fitting here. So yeah, life is really short, and you gotta savor it for every moment and enjoy it, because we can never get those moments back.
I love the fact that you actually saying real life and that it happened to you. So you
Yeah.
know how to look into somebody else's life and go,
Girl, quit that now. Yes,
I love that. That is so good. So how do you stay motivated? Because you know, we have a wild world that we live in.
we do.
And how do you stay motivated through all that?
Yeah, I think a lot of, you know, I mentioned Simon Sinek before in his Start With Why talk on it was a TED talk. I don't know if it was TED or TEDx, but anyway, if your listeners haven't heard it, I highly recommend to look it up. Start With Why. But I think that's a big one for me is remembering why I'm doing what I'm doing, and not just from my vision and my desire of what I know is possible out of this work, and the results and the freedom that I see people get. One of my clients who had worked with me for a couple of years had a horrible, horrible, horrible upbringing, and always felt very like separate and disconnected. And she had said at one point, she's like, I feel like I'm an orphan of the universe. Like I don't have connection or family or belonging. And she came to the first retreat I did. And from an exercise we did, I'm getting goosebumpy just the anticipation of saying this. From one of the first retreats, just 2 days together, she said, something has shifted for me where I no longer feel like an orphan of the universe. I feel like a child of the universe. And yeah. And by the way, she tripled her revenue in 2 years and had more time with her family. One of her visions was to buy an RV and like go to national parks in the summer with her kids and her husband. And that came to life too. So lots of amazingness that happened. But when I connect to what I know people can get out of this work, it just reminds me I got to get over myself sometimes, when I'm tired or I don't feel like it, or I've got other things going on, to say, I'm put here on this earth for a purpose. And I feel like obligation is the wrong word to use because that sounds burdensome, but I feel like I have an inspired obligation to do something with it.
Yeah. It's a God-given talent that's been given
Yeah.
to you to gift to others.
Yes, absolutely.
I
Yeah.
love it. So do you have like a giveaway, a contact information, or a download for our listeners?
Yes, absolutely. So I have a new master class that I'm getting ready to offer, which is an interactive, really a real opportunity. Sometimes master classes I feel are just sales pitches, and there will be an opportunity to hear about an offer at the end. But this really is designed to give you value through the session, to be able to open up some awareness and see some things that maybe you haven't been able to see for yourself before, and get some clarity around where you want to go from here. I feel like a lot of people come to me saying like, I feel like I'm kind of at this crossroads or on the edge of something new, but it's like, what now, or where do I go from here? So it'll help you get some clarity around that. And so if you go to spencersnakard.com/masterclass, you'll be able to get that. And I know my name is a bit of a doozy with the spelling, but that'll be, I'm sure, linked in the show notes, I hope. And yeah, so it's about an hour and a half class, like I said, and I'll be leading them live over the next month or two in anticipation, or kind of queuing up a brand new offer for retreats. Like I said, this retreat in Charleston, but some huge bonuses and fast action opportunities for like ridiculous additional support that you'll be getting bonused in with it as well. So come get some clarity for yourself, and come hear about the opportunities for next level growth.
Wow. I can't wait to hear about the dates of February and everything.
Yes. Yeah. I haven't fully locked those in yet, but I'm thinking right now, February 4th through 8th ish is what I'm looking at in Charleston, and actually Isle of Palm, South Carolina, in a multi-million-dollar house right on the beach. That's like a 10-bedroom gorgeousness. And yeah, right there.
That'd be gorgeous. All right. So is there anything else you'd like to share with our female entrepreneurs that are listening today that we haven't discussed about?
I feel like my coach sometimes challenges me to say, if you had one message, if you had a global platform and one message to share with the world, what would it be? So when you ask me a question like that, I feel like that's an opportunity to say it, which I hinted at before, but I want to say, I really invite people to shift their view of who you are, and who you are, especially in relationship to this idea of perfection that we all measure ourselves against. And to really like look at, I don't mean perfection in the cultural sense, but perfection in like, you are a reflection of your creator, and you can't be anything other than you are right now, which really makes you perfect for all that you are and for all that you're not. And if you start to even consider that, even just start to toy with that idea, it can bring so much freedom to everything in life, in business and in life, to free you up to be present in the moment, to be passionate, to enjoy life, and to truly be able to have it all.
I love that. Well, you know what, Spencer? Normally at this time, I tell everybody, thank you for being here. However, I do have to say one other thing to you, if you don't mind. Besides, you're so amazing. You're so terrific. And every month we pick who's going to be on the cover. And this month, for November, you have been chosen.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Oh, I'm so excited and honored. Thank you.
So
I'm goosebumpy. Oh, that's so exciting. See, when I first heard, I got some glimmers of the existence of this new magazine coming in. And then when I didn't take action on it right away, I was like, maybe a later month will give me a better opportunity to be on the cover. And look at that. I'm so excited. Thank you. What an honor. I'm thrilled.
thank you. I'm excited. So thank you for being with us today. Love you. And I loved having you. Oh my God, so much fun.
Thank you. And thank you for what you're doing in the world, Angel, and the connections that you're making and the value that you're sharing and the people that you're highlighting. It's just amazing. I so appreciate you and value you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Female Entrepreneurs Magazine. I hope you found inspiration, actionable tips, and a sense of connection with our incredible community of driven women. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and share the episode with fellow entrepreneurs who are ready to elevate their game. Remember, your success is just the beginning, and we're here to support you in every step of the way. Until next time, keep shining, keep thriving, and remember, you have the power to create the business and life of your dreams. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.